Okay, so I think we probably let everybody in now, and then Vinod, over to you for whenever you want to start. If it doesn't go live on Facebook, it doesn't.
Yeah, okay. Captain Mishra, I hope you'll handle the waiting room.
Sure, Captain Vinod, you can go ahead.
Yeah.
Hi, Abdul Bhai, how are you?
Yeah, fine. Thank you.
Yes, Captain Mishra will just start in about a minute's time, and then on we can take on.
Okay, Captain.
Okay, Jillian, I think we will start. So good afternoon, distinguished guests, speakers, participants, office bearers and members of ISWAN, NUSI, MUI, the various seafarers associations connected with us on this event, the Nautical Institute connected from across the globe, my fellow members of the Nautical Institute Southwest branch. At the outset, I thank all of you for accepting our invitation, and I also take the privilege of welcoming each one of you to this event of the Nautical Institute London in coordination with the Nautical Institute Southwest Branch India. I think everybody is aware of how vital is the role of ships towards the world economy and towards mankind, and how essential it is, the shipping services. But I think not many are aware of the contribution of the people who run those ships, the seafarers. And we in the maritime industry knows the significant role that the seafarers play, especially in carrying or shouldering the responsibility, the huge responsibility on their shoulders in keeping this world economy live and kicking by delivering essential goods across the globe to so many millions and billions of people across the globe. So I believe that we in the industry needs to raise the seafarer's voice and make sure it is heard across the globe. It is made sure that the people across the globe hear about the seafarers and the contributions that they have towards this world. Even within the maritime industry, with the issues that we face, it is essential that we raise the voice for the seafarers, especially when it comes to the right of the seafarers. So today I will call this event as the voice of the seafarer, or for the seafarer. And the Nautical Institute is only happy to appreciate the three organizations that we have, which contribute towards this cause of seafarers' welfare and well-being. We have ISWAN, we have the National Union of Seafarers India, and we have the Maritime Union of India, MUI, with us today on this event of Certificate of Appreciation, which the Nautical Institute India Southwest Branch, in coordination with the Nautical Institute London, has been organizing over the past many weeks. So once again, I welcome each one of you, the seafarers who are connected with us, wherever they are in the world. This has basically been an event recognizing you and your efforts, as well as I mentioned the seafarers associations and organizations who are on this event with us. There are plenty of them today across the globe. So we welcome all of you to this event. Before I get on with the schedule, let me just share my screen for a minute. Jillian, you need to help me. It says the host is disabled my sharing.
Just 1 second.
Yeah. Otherwise, you can just put up the presentation which you have from your end.
Bye now.
Yeah, I've got it now. Thank you. So this is our event number 9 that we have been having in the over the last more than a month now, appreciating organizations who are involved, has gone that extra mile, especially during this pandemic. As I mentioned, we have people across the globe connected with us today. We have, especially if I take the Nautical Institute, we have London, Belgium, Australia, we have Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and also the Nautical Institute branches across the country connected with us. Many a times we have seafarers connected from their ships. We have eminent personalities on this event. So I request that we should respect everybody's time, and I hope you will understand and help me to keep the schedule on time. So I request all those who are not speaking to keep their mics muted, and to help us with the bandwidth issues, probably keep your videos turned off, so that we can have a seamless event as we go on this evening. I also take this opportunity, as I mentioned, today is an event of the Voice of Seafarers. Captain Mishra, can you see my presentation?
Yes, I can. But right now you're showing a slide 3, a blank screen. Yes.
Yeah. So as I said, this is the Voice of the Seafarers, and everybody knows how important the role the media plays in raising this voice of the seafarer and for the seafarer. So we are fortunate that we have with us Captain Vivek Bhandarkar and Bhandarkar Publications. We have Captain Chadda with Mavericks. We have Mr. Ashok Advani and Sagar Sandesh. We have Mr. Amit Kumar and CN Post. And we have Captain Nangia and Sailor today, which has been streaming this live on various platforms, including YouTube. And we also have Captain Ronnie Abraham with CN Job. These have been the media. I welcome all the media to this event. As I mentioned, today being an event of Voice of Seafarers, and it is not just these 3 organizations, but many such organizations who are contributing towards this cause of welfare and well-being of the seafarer. And I'm fortunate that I have a good friend of mine who also has been contributing towards the welfare of seafarers, and it is one of the oldest associations that we have from the state of Kerala, the Kerala Merchant Navy Officers Association. And my friend Captain Sardar Kandathil, I invite him, the president of KMNOA, I invite him to welcome our distinguished guests. Over to you, Captain Sardar.
Thanks to Captain Vinod Navina for your great, because things we have do it, and we are still continuing learning things day by day, and also trying to find out ways to overcome this. The pandemic has transformed living habits of all around the world. Good afternoon, and a very warm welcome to all for the presentation of Certificate of Appreciation to ISWAN for their efforts in helping seafaring community. So today is a special, memorable day for seafarers, as we are going to appreciate the welfare activities of the seafarers. So many people has worked together to make the shipping industry live, while Many were dying due to present pandemic created slowdown and freezing state, even some of the business being wiped out from its existence. We are all still working hard and putting hands together in all respect to move forward the vital industry of the world and its backbone, the seafarers, life as much as possible, safe, healthy, and happy. In this occasion, I take this opportunity to thank all for their efforts in keeping this industry alive. It's a great pleasure for me to welcome Miss Jillian Carson Jackson, President of Nautical Institute, London. Career in the Canadian Coast Guard and served afloat and ashore as instructor for 10 years. Later, she served in IALA in France and with AMSA in Australia. Also, she was director of Global Bed. Presently, Ms. Jillian represents the Nautical Institute at IALA as chair of Emerging Digital Technologies Working Group, that is ENAV Group, and the Personnel and Training Working Group, VDS Committee. A hearty welcome to Ms. Jillian Carson to this function. Also, we have with us eminent personality from Nautical Institute, Captain John Lloyd of Nautical Institute. He has had a very long 16-year seagoing career and also 2 years as a marine pilot at Walvis Bay. He has extensive experience in maritime education and senior positions at Warsaw Maritime Academy and flagship training. He was also CEO of Vanuatu Maritime College and professor of maritime training at the Australian Maritime College in Tasmania. Before taking up the present position as CEO, he was Chief Operating Officer responsible for Institute's specialized training services. He is presently managing resources of Nautical Institute with more than about 7,000 members and 50 branches all over the world. My warm-hearted welcome to Captain John Lloyd, CEO of Nautical Institute. ISWAN, as you all know, a leading organization serving for seafarers' welfare around the world with 24-hour service. ISWAN also facilitates emotional and mental health support to seafarers and families and has assisted a number of seafarers who were left stranded since COVID-19 lockdown. Today, we have with us Captain Andy Winbo, Chairman of Board of Trustees of the International Seafarers Welfare and Assistance Network. He maintains interest in seafaring through supporting maritime charity work as a younger brother of Trinity House. He served on various positions in international and maritime and retired as Assistant Secretary General and Director of Maritime Safety Division. Before IMO, Captain Andy worked Marine Safety Agency, where he held various posts, including Chief Surveyor, with responsibility for navigation and communication. As a seafarer himself, very well aware of the situation of each seafarer, and his contribution has made lives of many seafarers happy during the pandemic of coronavirus. My wholehearted welcome, you, sir. I feel proud and very happy to welcome Mr. Roger Harris, the Executive Director of International Seafarers Welfare and Assistance Network, ISWAN. Roger joined the International Committee on Seafarers Welfare 11 years ago. Mr. Roger has been responsible for developing ISWAN into leading international seafarers welfare organization. Previous to working at ICSW, Roger worked in senior positions mainly in fundraising for a range of non-profit campaigning organizations, including Concern Worldwide and the Terence Higgins Trust, the HIV and AIDS charity. Mr. Roger is a keen runner and triathlete and is an ambassador in Southeast London for Parkrun. A pleasant and healthy welcome to Mr. Roger Harris to this function. Every seafarer is scary whenever they hear the word piracy. Today, we have a person with us who has undergone the traumatic stages of captivity about 8 months under Somali pirates. By profession, chief engineer, and a very strong person, Mr. Chirag Bari. As a recognition of his passion and service to seafarers, he has been bestowed with Dr. Dirk Lindman Welfare Personality of the Year award by Honorable Secretary General of IMO in London during an event hosted by ISWAN in June 2015. He focused on the welfare of seafarers, particularly helping their families cope with piracy hijacking situations. Mr. Bari provides guidance to seafarers, their families, as well as manning agents and shipping companies in South Asia region, and also manages regional work program of the charity in Southeast Asia and Nigeria. As ISWAN Director of Regions, he assists seafarers and their families that are affected by piracy and other crises at sea, and those who are going through various traumatic events such as abandoning at sea or facing contractual issues. A very warm fraternal welcome to you, sir. I'm delighted to welcome a person whose family has been attached to Indian seafarers for decades. His great-grandfather was founder general secretary of Trade Union for Seafarers, and his fourth generation proudly serving with these activities in helping seafarers. He is General Secretary cum Treasurer of National Union of Seafarers of India, representing more than 80,000 seafarers. Mr. Abdul Ghani Vaisarang is very familiar personality among shipping trade unions all over the world and Indian seafarers working on board Indian and foreign flag ships. He is currently member of National Shipping Board, National Welfare Board, and Seafarers Provident Fund Office, and also member of the Court of Indian Maritime University. He represented India on national and international committee meetings and conference of ILO and IMO. He is executive board member of ITF and have signed various settlements for seafarers on Indian and foreign flag ships, including Norwegian, Singapore, Hong Kong, and other international agreements. I extend a very warm welcome, sir. Mr. Amar Singh Taku, General Secretary of Maritime Union of India, representing officers of Indian seafarers. After about 30 years of long service at sea, his very intense desire to serve seafarers with an acute sense of ensuring fairness for them, he has taken on the challenging responsibility as General Secretary of Maritime Union of India since 2016. He has made sure that he is accessible to all in the industry, but foremost in priority are merchant navy officers. Issues range from very elementary ones to the most complex ones, involving those not being able to return to India from overseas due to various reasons, and that would require intervention of under his dynamic leadership and his single-minded determination and dedication towards security and welfare of Indian officers has ensured scores of cases have been favorably resolved. I extend Mr. Amar Singh Taku very warm, cordial welcome to this function. As we can see, the number of women seafarers are rapidly increasing in India. The requirement of women's representation became a necessity to address the problems of these seafarers for the fair and equality treatment in the industry and to address the issues of families. Thus, in 2017, under the aegis of MUI, under the able leadership of Mr. Amar Singh Taku, Ms. Saleha Zubair Sheikh founded the MUI Women's Wing for Seafarers Families and designated cell for women seafarers. As head coordinator and community development facilitator, Ms. Saleha is spearheading a community support system for seafarer families that handles grievances, harassment issues, and also counseling through their 24/7 helpline. Additionally, as a certified life coach and wellness trainer, Ms. Saleha organizes workshops and seminars related to gender bias, wellness, leadership development at the MUI Women's Wing. Married to a master mariner for 25 years, Ms. Saleha, working to improve emotional health and well-being of seafarers and their families. And this has been driving force for her to develop a custom coaching program for the seafaring community. I extend Ms. Saleha. I also welcome Captain Tom Joseph, Chairman, Nautical Institute, West Branch, Captain Joseph Alapart, Fellow of Nautical Institute, Vice Chairman, Nautical Institute, Southwest Branch, Captain Vinod Naveen, Captain Y.D. Mishra, Nautical Institute, South Branch, to this function. It is our privilege, and I'm glad to have eminent personalities present here to grace this occasion. Captain Duncan McClure, Captain Ashok Mahapatra, Captain M.P. Basim, Captain Choske Thomas, Dr. K. Simon, Mr. Deepak Shetty, sir, name a few. I extend a very warm welcome to this function and very much appreciate your contribution to this function. Also welcome all dignitaries, my colleagues, all seafarers, guests, fraternity members of various organizations attending from all over the world. Today for their live telecast of this function. Thank you all for joining and have a nice evening. Thank you, Captain Vinod.
Thank you, Captain Sardar. I just would like to extend the welcome to Sri Michael Pinto, sir, the former Secretary, the Government of India and former DG Shipping, also to Dr. Deepak Shetty, former Secretary, former DG Shipping, Dr. Suresh, who are also, the three of them are also the trustees of ISWAN. So welcome to all of you. And as I mentioned about the various Seafarers Association, I also extend the welcome to CMMI, IMEI, Himachal Seafarers Association. And if I just look at my state of Kerala today, and we are so happy, you know, the local representations that we have for seafarers today. If I just quickly run from north to south of Kerala, I have Kannur right up north. We have the Merchant Navy Club, Kozhikode, Calicut. We have Mariners Club, Thrissur. We have, of course, the Mariners Society. The president, Dr. Simon, is here. And we have the Mariners Forum, Trivandrum. So it is very well covered, the local representation from north to south from the state of Kerala. If I have missed out any Seafarers Association, and to individuals, I request you can send us a message on the chat. Though you're muted, you're very welcome to send your compliments and your identity on our chat box. As I mentioned, the Mariners, the maritime industry is how vital it is and how important it is for us to bring it to the limelight and people across the globe. I'm fortunate that we have one such personality with us today who has been working towards this cause of bringing the maritime industry to the limelight. I'm talking about our president, seated in Canberra, Australia. She does an excellent job promoting the maritime industry. Every other day, she speaks to people in the maritime industry from different walks of the maritime industry, capture their views. And she's one person who's very live and active on various social media platforms. And when I open up my LinkedIn in the morning, the first thing that I see is a new video from our president from Canberra. So she's been very active promoting the maritime industry. I invite Ms. Jillian Carson Jackson, President, Nautical Institute, London, to introduce the Nautical Institute to the audience. And she's joining us from Canberra, Australia. Over to you, Ms. Jillian.
Thank you so much, Vinod. And actually, it's really, really nice to see. I sort of say see you all. There's a number of people online that I don't get to see very often in face-to-face. But we are really grateful that we're able to connect through this different type of technologies that we have. I'm just going to tell you just a little bit about the Nautical Institute, although probably many of you already know about the Nautical Institute. It is a membership organization for the maritime professionals, and we're actually reaching our 50-year anniversary. There's over 7,000 members, and it's from the membership strength that we get our energy and that we're able to provide the expertise that we do. It's a very strong branch network. So within the 7,000 members, we have all of these branches, like the Southwest India branch and my own branch with the Southeast Australia branch. In this area, we get to work at the local level, but we definitely think global. And I think you've already heard that the Nautical Institute is the voice of the mariner at the IMO. We also are very active within IALA, and we have memorandums of understandings with many other organizations, sister organizations, to work collectively together to support seafarers, to support our members, the maritime professionals. During COVID, it's been very different, very unique way of working. So we've had to pivot, the pivot point. We're all used to that in maritime. We've had to look at how we can work in different ways, adapt, and meet the needs of the seafarers during COVID. There have been so many dark events over the past days. It has been a very difficult time within the maritime industry. And now more than ever, it's really important to celebrate these good news stories, the stories where we see the effort, that extra effort that's happening to support seafarers. Our member from Belgium, Walter Revlosum, is a vice president of the Nautical Institute, and he had this vision to celebrate the work that is being done at the maritime level, at that level, to support seafarers through certificates of appreciation. And the Nautical Institute Southwest India branch, Vinod and the team, did a stellar job to bring this to the attention of all of the globe through the different medias, and to celebrate the efforts that are taken to facilitate crew change. So the Nautical Institute is focused on supporting the maritime professional, that those are connected with or have control of seagoing vessels. This includes cadets through to masters, surveyors, VTS, maritime lawyers, and more. Today, we have an opportunity to recognize the effort taken to support the seafarers at all times. As we know, these organizations, ISWAN and MIU, they work all the time, but especially during this time of COVID, to support the Corona warriors. It really is an honor to present a little bit about the Nautical Institute and to participate in this wonderful event.
Thank you, Ms. Jillian. And let me also tell the audience about the support that you have been giving, seated in Australia, to the Nautical Institute Southwest branch in conducting this series of events right from the start of these events. So thank you so much for all the support that you've been giving us, and that has been motivation for all of us to keep going. Thank you, Ms. Jillian. We are talking about the voice of the seafarers and the contribution of various associations for the welfare and well-being of seafarers today. I think the Nautical Institute, I wouldn't be wrong if I put the Nautical Institute in the same bracket, though we might not be doing something as big as ISWAN or NUSI or MEI or other association in terms of seafarers' welfare, but the Nautical Institute is certainly an organization who have been very closely working for the professional development of seafarers. We have a program called a CPD program, the Continuous Professional Development of Seafarers. Though we are not an institute of, like an academic institute, the Nautical Institute do have professional training for seafarers right round the year. So I believe that also is a contribution, that if we can develop the professionalism of our members. That's what we do at the Nautical Institute right round the year. To tell us more about such activities which the Nautical Institute London, headquartered at London, and various branches do conduct over the year, I invite Captain John Lloyd, who is our CEO, joining us from London. Over to you, Captain John.
Thank you, Captain Vinod, and good morning from London, and a warm welcome to everybody who's joined us today. Thank you for taking the time. For us, it's an important event, but I'm going to come to that in just a moment. I think when the world is going through the sort of turmoil that we're going through now, it's important that we all concentrate on areas in which we can add the best value. And sometimes it's difficult to resist being like 8-year-olds playing football and everyone chasing after the same thing. We must spread our effort. We must share our expertise. And one of the ways in which we've been doing that is by collating the resources that many organizations have developed. But quite often there's been repetition. But what we wanted to do was to research the best of that advice and share it through our website, not just to our members, but to everybody who wishes to find contemporary, thorough, researched, well-presented information that can help manage the way through the COVID-19 crisis. So that's there in a special dedicated section of our website. It's kept under constant review and of course updated as we go through with other information that becomes available to us. So please have a look and take advantage of that information that's there. We've also taken the opportunity, principally through messages from myself, to write directly to all of our members to make sure they are aware of initiatives and support mechanisms which are there for them, but also as officers they've got responsibility for their crews, so to help them understand some of the support mechanisms and the calls that can be made and the organizations that can help them better than we can on the welfare front. So providing that conduit of information has been very important as well. As you've mentioned already, we are an organization that's focused on continuing professional development, and it's really important we don't drop that ball. This crisis is going to be with us for a very long time, and we have moved our training delivery to web-based online training, which gives us a great amount of flexibility and allows participation across time zones and across different countries. So that's been very, very successful. But we've also hosted on a weekly basis webinars across a whole range of professional development subjects, which have been hugely well attended. From 300 to 800 people have been registering for these every single week. So it's been a great delight to continue that core energy that the Nautical Institute has around the professional development for the maritime sector. But as Jillian's already mentioned, the certificates of recognition give us the opportunity to say thank you on behalf of our members and thank you on behalf of all the seafarers to those organisations who are demonstrating best practice in what they do in supporting the seafarers through these very difficult times, to say a thank you for the extra effort that's gone into providing that support. And so today I'm glad to have just a very small part in recognising the three organisations that are here today, to extend our hand of thanks, our recognition for the achievements that you've made to make a real difference to that community out there, often invisible to most of the world, but they're really struggling now, and your contribution to their welfare is very much appreciated, and our thanks for it. Thank you, Captain Vinod.
Thank you, Captain John Lloyd, for introducing the various activities of the Nautical Institute. And as you mentioned, right around the year, you do conduct training programs towards the cause of professional development of seafarers. Thank you so much for that. But I should tell you, Captain John, as those who have been attending this event from the beginning, we had Captain John with us for the first few events, and then he sent me a message one day saying, I need to take a break, I need to go for a vacation. And then he left us and he's coming back today. But my sources in London, Captain John tells me that you didn't go for a vacation, but you wanted to watch the cricket match. There was Australia, the West Indies. So we let you watch your match. I am also a great follower of cricket, but we support England. But when it comes to India, I'm sorry, we support India. Thank you, Captain John.
Thank you.
As I mentioned, today being an event of the voice of the seafarers, voice for the seafarers, and today I don't think ISWAN, the International Seafarers Welfare and Assistance Network, requires any kind of introduction across the world, because it is quite well known in the shipping industry across the globe. But probably when ISWAN started as ICSW, International Committee on Seafarers Welfare, and today, which what we know as ISWAN, it takes a lot of effort for such global recognition. And to let such organization know, it requires great effort right from the top. It requires great leadership. People with a vision, people who are willing to commit and dedicate themselves for the cause of the seafarers. And that is what is ISWAN today. Extending their support for the welfare and well-being of seafarers, and as well as providing assistance to the needy seafarers. It's a great job, and as I mentioned, it takes commitment and dedication right from the top. And today we are fortunate that we have with us Mr. Roger Harris, who's the Executive Director of ISWAN, who's been part of this journey of ISWAN right from a long time, probably over a decade, to get ISWAN to a position that they are in today. So I invite Mr. Roger Harris, the Executive Director of ISWAN, to introduce the activities of ISWAN to the audience. Over to you, Mr. Roger.
Thank you very much for that warm introduction. If I can share my screen, hopefully it's going to work. I've just got a few slides, so it's disabled at the moment, but I don't know if I can share my screen.
Just 1 second and I'll make you a co-host, so then you can share. Just 1 second.
Great, thank you. Okay, thank you very much, and thank you to the Nautical Institute for organising this event today, and thank you for the to the Nautical Institute Southwest India branch. And it's a great honour and privilege for ISWAN to be recognised for our work by such a prestigious organisation such as the Nautical Institute, and it's also a pleasure and a privilege to be shown a platform with our friends from UC and MUI. And I'd just like to start really by paying tribute to the work of all the staff at ISWAN. All that we do is very much a team effort, and I'm really privileged to work with such a committed and dedicated team of people who have a passion for the welfare and well-being of seafarers all over the world. So ISWAN, I know many of you know who we are, but I'll just quickly run through just something about who we are and what we do. So we're an international NGO. We're a registered charity. We're based in the UK. Our headquarters is in Croydon, in South London, and we also have offices in Delhi and Manila, and a staff member in Lagos, Nigeria. We're a membership organisation. We have around 50 odd members, and some of the leading members are the International Transport Workers Federation and the International Chamber of Shipping and the International Christian Maritime Association. Our role is to broadly promote the welfare of seafarers and their family worldwide, and we run a number of programs and projects that promote the health and well-being of seafarers. And we're very much about working in partnership, and we work in partnership with ship owners, unions, governments, welfare organisations and P&I clubs. So this is some of the things that we do. We run programs and projects. Our main one is Seafarer Help, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. We run the Seafarers Health Information Program that provides information to seafarers about physical and mental well-being. We run the International Port Welfare Partnership Program, which is very much about setting up port welfare committees under the MLC section 4.4. And this program is run on our behalf by the Merchant Navy Welfare Board in the UK. We support seafarers and their families who've been affected by piracy, and as previously mentioned, we're really privileged to have Chirag Bari, who was held hostage by Somali pirates for 8 months. We're really privileged to have Chirag working for us, and we're really pleased that the other week the last 3 hostages that were held by Somali pirates, they were held for 5.5 years, that were released, and we've been supporting their families back in Iran. We also run the International Seafarers Welfare Awards. Unfortunately, because of COVID, we haven't held it this year, but we plan to hold it next year, and it could be held virtually. And the awards recognise excellence in the provision of seafarers' welfare throughout the world. And also, from time to time, we carry out research into various aspects of seafarers' welfare. So Seafarer Help, as I mentioned, is really our main program. It's a free confidential helpline for seafarers and their families. It's 24 hours. It's staffed by people 24 hours. It's international. The team between them speak about 10 languages. The team, most of the team are based in London, but we've now recruited team members in India and the Philippines, and we just recruited 2 accredited counsellors as well. The team receives a whole range of calls, but obviously over the last 6 months, most of those calls have been related to the COVID-19 pandemic, and we've dealt with over 4,000 cases involving around 24,000 seafarers, and this is sort of 3 times the number of calls we normally receive. And the main concerns from these seafarers, as you probably know, are around repatriation, but also around financial hardship, and increasingly about we get more calls on psychological stress because of the amount of time that seafarers are spending on board, and they're becoming physically and mentally stressed. Mental well-being of seafarers is becoming increasingly important, and over the last few years we focused quite a lot of our work around the mental well-being of seafarers. We've produced 3 self-help guides for seafarers, and then we're just about to launch a guide for shipping companies and ship management companies around developing mental well-being policies for their seafarers. And as I say, we'll be launching that early next month. And we also have developed some training courses on mental health awareness, and these are about to go online. We produce other resources. 2 of them are up on screen. One's around abandoned seafarers, and the other one is a good practice guide for shipping companies, manning agents who have to deal with the situation of missing seafarers. So with your permission, Chair, I'd like to hand over to my colleague Chirag Bari, who'll talk a bit more about our work in India. So thank you very much.
Yes, just before Chirag comes in, I would like to tell you, who else will know the agony of seafarers than a person who has gone through himself. As the Captain Sardar mentioned in the welcome address, Chirag had got into one of the worst nightmares that seafarers have today, is being captively held by the pirates. Chirag was one of those seafarers who were held captive by the Somali pirates, and after that incident, with all the trauma that he had to go through, he has decided to dedicate himself for the well-being of seafarers, so that many seafarers today get to know about such things. So as I mentioned, we can sympathize and we can extend our empathy, but who better than a person who has gone through the agony himself? So it has been a journey for Chirag, right from that time, dedicating himself full-time towards ISWAN and the activities that ISWAN has been conducting for the welfare and well-being of seafarers. So I request Chirag Bari, who is the Director of Regions, to continue from where Mr. Roger had left, and make us aware, make the audience aware of the various activities and campaigns that ISWAN has been doing across the world as well as in this region, in this part of the world. Over to you, Chirag.
Thank you so much, Captain Naveen. And once again, I would like to thanks Nautical Institute for recognizing the work of ISWAN and giving us this opportunity to present about ISWAN in this, with the eminent personalities over here. And it's a really honor for me to represent ISWAN South Asia and also manage the team in the Philippines as well as in Nigeria. And team has, been working round the clock from the last 5 months now, and they have been dedicatedly doing extra shifts, extra work hours put in with a limited number of people around, and also managing the from the homes. It's not easy for the people, but then they have stood up to this challenge, and I really am. And this, I think we are very thankful to the team we have in ISWAN also. At the same time, I would also like to congratulate NUSI and MUI for their, tremendous efforts in supporting the seafarers, and also Saleha, who has been stood up. We had so many number of cases whenever the seafarers have mentioned that they have been not able to return home. We had some cases when the families needed support in case of they were pregnant, and we were able to put Saleha in direct touch with the families. So thank you, Saleha, for doing all the necessary work in supporting the families as well. So just to brief you about our regional work program. In India, we have a program steering group, which is chaired by Pinto sir, Michael Pinto sir, and it has members from INSA, MASA, POSMA, the Maritime Unions, NUSI, MUI, FSUI, the welfare organizations such as Mission to Seafarers, Sailor Society, the professional associations like Company of Master Mariners of India, MAPS, Vista India, and IWSF. And we've been really honored that with the support of all and guidance of all these members, we have been working to make life of seafarers a bit more better. And in that sense, we have been running some campaign against the non-registered crewing agencies. There's a huge issues around the seafarers getting duped by scrupulous agents and the fraudulent agents. We have been rolling out a lot of videos to educate and to sensitize seafarers on how to identify RPSL agent, how to sign a proper contract. Basic issues such as these have been, every day we receive a number of calls from the seafarers that they have been duped by by these non-RPSL agents, and some of the RPSL agents also are involved in these fraudulent practices. And the Maritime Piracy Program, we have already mentioned that about the program where it has been able to reach out to seafarers and families who have been kidnapped and hijacked by the pirates. And we still are working on the cases whenever we have the cases in the Gulf of Guinea region. And it's a process when we started in the year 2011 and 12, when MPHRP was launched in India, and with the support of various organizations, including the Director General of Shipping, and we were able to extend the humanitarian support to the affected seafarers and families. And we are very proud that the seafarers who have returned home have been sailing again. Many of them have rejoined the ship again with the help of the industry stakeholders. We've been also helping the seafarers who have been going through difficult times, like financial supports, or they are in need of emotional health crisis. And the team is well trained to look after some of these calls from the seafarers or their families. As Roger has already mentioned about the mental well-being, the training which we have been providing to the seafarers, and also the guides which have been widely published in India and reach out to a lot of shipping companies, and that has been also very well appreciated. We also encouraging port welfare committees to set up in Indian ports, and as per MLC 4.4, and we have been pushing it a lot with the government of India, so that the seafarers, when they arrive in the ports in India, they have a welfare mechanisms in place, and to receive them, and so that these seafarers can be able to replenish their fatigue and the anxieties and the stress what they have suffered being at the sea for a long period of time, and they can at least get a change if the welfares are there in the Indian ports. So we are working on that along with the various stakeholders assisting us in that. We are also working with women in Vista and as well as IWSF to promote women in shipping. And this is the reasons that our work is also to is diversify and to promote a lot of more women to come in shipping and to make things easier for the women when they're sailing on board. We receive a number of cases about abandonment and unpaid wages, which we have been dealing with, and we are trying to support the seafarers when in need through the Seafarers Emergency Fund. Now, since the start of this pandemic, we saw a number of cases which came across to the Seafarer Helpline regarding the seafarers are not able to return home and they have been stranded. Are you able to see my screen? Yeah, sure. No, it's okay. So yeah, so they've been stranded overseas and they could not return home. We instance, we started working on with the stakeholders, and we were able to provide some psychological support or emotional support to the seafarers. But then when we saw that some of the seafarers were stranded in UK, we worked closely with our mission to seafarers in UK, as well as the Indian mission in UK and Indian High Commission, and we worked with them to repatriate a number of seafarers from UK to India. And many of these seafarers went to UK for studies, but due to lockdown, they could not return home, and they didn't have more money to extend their stays. So the Seafarers Emergency Fund was utilized in the process to help some of these seafarers to look after their basic meals and rent accommodation. In total, if you see the number of seafarers from various countries, and slowly we, because of the great efforts of Deepak Shetty sir, we were able to reach out to a number of Indian missions abroad. As a total, I think more than 15 to 16 Indian missions we have worked very, very closely over the last 4 or 5 months to repatriate around 4,000 Indian seafarers from various countries, again on the Vande Bharat flights whenever they had to sign off from the ships or they've been stranded there because of various reasons. Some of these cases involved, as I mentioned, about from the seafarers from UK, about 1,000 seafarers have returned home, or more than that, in fact. And there were some cases in, for example, when the mortal remains of seafarers who died on board were not being able to return home, and we were able to work again in close partnership with PNI Club, the shipping company, and the Indian missions in various countries, because no country was allowing the mortal remains of a seafarer to disembark from the ship, again because of the scare of COVID. And it took a week or 10 days to convince one of the country to allow it to disembark, and from there we worked again with the support of Mr. Shetty, that we were able to bring the remains of the seafarer home. We also helped recently a case where a seafarer died on board ship in Malaysia, and his remains were also brought back from Malaysia with the support of various agencies. So these are some of the very touchy cases. In one of the cases where the seafarer had lost his father, and he was on a ship in Malaysia. As soon as he heard about it, his sign-off was arranged in Malaysia, but Malaysia has a very peculiar rule that you have to stay for 14 days in quarantine after you sign off. And the seafarer, his mother was hospitalized again for COVID. So he wanted to get home for the cremation and the last rites and everything. And so we discussed this case with our partners in Malaysia, Iqmal, who approached the Minister of Shipping over there, and a special dispensation was sought for this seafarer so that he returned home within next 2-3 days, and he was able to be there with his family in this hour of need. So some of the other cases where a pregnant woman who was sailing with her husband on board ship was needed a sign-off, and she could not sign off before because of various lockdown reasons. And we worked very closely with the Nigerian Seafarers Welfare Board, Dr. Amos, and his team in Nigeria to help this pregnant women to sign up from the ship and return home with the help of the Indian mission in Nigeria. So it took a lot of efforts to bring such of these cases. I'm just highlighting some of the peculiar cases here where we needed a lot of efforts to bring some of these seafarers back home. And we are very, very happy that we were able to be of any kind of support to the seafarers and their families back home. So in this whole process of last 4-5 months, the industry, the unions, the welfare organizations, even the maritime administration stood up to a lot of different challenges and really appreciate the efforts of various organizations which have been put up. Similarly, we also received a lot of queries from the seafarers that they're at home and they could not rejoin the ship because of lockdown. And some of the seafarers were stranded in Mumbai, Kolkata, because they went there for exams. In some of the cases, Seafarers Emergency Fund was able to provide a meaningful support to the seafarers so that they stay where they are and during the lockdown period. And one of the seafarers, he could not join ship and his wife was also pregnant. And so the Seafarers Emergency Fund was able to provide financial support to that seafarer. And now he's blessed with a son, and he's very, very thankful to the team for standing by them. We recently also had a case where a seafarer's mother is suffering from cancer, and the Seafarers Emergency Fund has been looking after the medical support of that seafarer. So in overall, I think in India and in South Asia, even in Bangladesh, in Pakistan, we have reached out to a few of the seafarers who needed support. And our team in Manila has been on ground because there was a lot of stranded seafarers who were there in Manila because of the lockdown again, that they were in need of shelter, they were in need of food to survive. And the team, again, with the help of local stakeholders, with the help of OVA and Marina, they were able to help about more than 2,000 seafarers in providing them daily food and shelters so that they stay again where they are. They can provide some emotional support to the seafarers. The Hardship Fund, which is there only in Philippines, was able to provide more than 200 support more than 200 seafarers with financial grants of an amount of $150 each. So that is the need of the hour where we stood up. But yes, all the organizations have worked very, very closely in this whole matter. But the thing is that the work is still not finished. We still have a long way to go. The pandemic is still not over. The number of seafarers who are still at sea, and ISWAN is available 24/7 to help the seafarers. We also remain thankful to all our funders and all our well-wishers, especially the International Transport Workers Federation, TK Foundation, Seafarers UK Charity, and Trafigura Foundation for their support to us and providing us the generous grants to be able to help some of these seafarers and families. And again, thank you so much, Nautical Institute, and all the eminent personalities present here for listening to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chirag. It's so heartening to know the diverse range of assistance that ISWAN is able to provide to seafarers today. I mean, I was just listening to you and Mr. Roger, right from the sign-off to monetary assistance to assistance by running programs for seafarers' health, psychological support, supporting the pregnant woman. I mean, you just name it, you have it at ISWAN. Or for the sake of just being there for the seafarer, how much does it matter? Only those seafarers will know. And it's nice to know that you have grown over the years and you support seafarers on daily basis right around the year. It's so heartening to know as a seafarer myself how much that support means to the seafarer and their families. So thank you, Mr. Roger. Roger did mention about 4,000 odd cases that over the last couple of months that you had to handle, with regard to seafarers. So thank you, Mr. Roger, as well as to Mr. Chirag. It takes a little bit of guts to have gone through all what you have and then come out and support for the seafarers' welfare. So thank you so much, and we wish ISWAN, its members of ISWAN and office bearers all the very best in the future also. I did also see a few people joining, so I would like to welcome Captain John Meneses from our Nautical Institute, Captain Joe Scooty, Captain Joseph Alapart, the Vice Chairman of Nautical Institute Southwest Branch, as well as the Deputy Conservator of Cochin Port Trust. And today everybody knows the contribution of Cochin Port towards the sign-off of seafarers. I also welcome Captain Mahesh Yadav, FOSMA, We have Captain Dr. Bharadwaj joining us, Captain Rajesh Nambiar, the Secretary of CMMI Kochi Chapter, Captain Sudhir Subedar, and we also welcome Mr. Saxena and Sanjeev Vakil. As you know, he is one of the engineer who is a member of the Nautical Institute. So welcome to all of you to this event once again. Yes, as I mentioned, this is an event, voice of the seafarer, voice for the seafarer. And yes, we do have international representations, as we just heard ISWAN, with its footprints over many countries across the globe. But we also do, we do have so many seafarers from our country, India, a great country. We have probably touching close to a lakh of ratings from sailing in both Indian and foreign flagships from India. And to take care of the welfare and well-being of these ratings is no easy task. But we are fortunate that we have one such association in our country, the National Union Seafarers of India, which has been doing an excellent job in supporting the ratings. And we all know how much of a support they would require, and that has been provided by NUSI. I just called up Mr. Abdul Ghani a few hours before just to remind him about this event today. But and at that time, I came to know that today is a day, Saturday, that he actually communicates with the ratings online. So he was live on Facebook with the ratings, and he normally have about 200 odd cases every day, and he listens very patiently to them and try to resolve all these issues that our Indian ratings are facing, whether they are sailing with the Indian ships or with the foreign flagships. And that itself is commendable. NUSI, as you know, is been a very old organization, and when it comes to Mr. Abdul Ghani, I would say it's more of a family thing, because as you heard at the welcome address, it was his great grandfather who was the founder, general secretary of NUSI. Then it came down to his grandfather, to his father, and now himself. So he's been one person. He and his family has been really committed for the cause of welfare of Indian seafarers. So I'm happy to invite Mr. Abdul Ghani Sarang, who is the General Secretary cum Treasurer of the National Union of Seafarers India, to offer his felicitations. Over to you, Mr. Abdul Ghani.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I like it when it is mentioned that, my great grandfather was a founder general secretary, and my grandfather and my father, and and I'm the fourth generation. But let me tell you and put it on record that I go through a proper selection and election process. It is not that the crown is handed over to the son and then the son. We have a robust selection process, and I go through that process. Having said that, it has been definitely an honor for me to be here in this particular institute program for the felicitation of ISWAN and MUI, and particularly when the audience also includes Captain Mahapatra and particularly Mr. Deepak Shetty, and the two Varuna awardees, Mr. Michael Pinto and Mr. Hajra. And I also bring the good wishes of the NUSI President, Captain Hiranandani, who was closely associated with the Nautical Institute. Just one more thing on the record, because it was mentioned that we represent around 80,000 seafarers. That was the last record. It has been updated and upgraded. We forgot to mention it. We have crossed over 100,000 seafarers now representing. So it is a very proud and a very satisfying feeling to represent so many ratings and party officers. I recollect the Maritime Piracy Human Response Program, which started in 2011, the MPHRP. And at the ITF, International Transport Workers Federation, we saw great benefit in supporting that MPHRP program, which gave a very clear angle of the human response to those piracy-related situations. Personally, for me, as the trustee of the ITF Seafarers Trust, it was with a lot of confidence that the activities of MPHRP were supported, because the MPHRP, for that matter, the ISWAN, was never interested in how much money was demanded during the piracy situation, how much money was paid, what were the logistics. It was singularly focused on the human element, issues of the human element, which is the seafarers, whom we all very proudly represent. And it went not just for the seafarers, but it went beyond the seafarers to the families of the seafarers. It was more focused on the wellness aspect of the seafarers and their family members. Like what is happening ashore to the families, how were they faring in those challenging times when the seafarers were taken captive? What about the counseling of the families, and what about their financial constraints? What about the counseling of the seafarers when they return home, and again, how will the seafarers pull themselves out? All these issues were dealt by the MPHRP and the ISWAN. So while the Seafarers Trade Union, like us, there are many trade unions, NUSI, MUI in India, and the other international trade unions, Seafarers Trade Union, were very much involved in a variety of issues. It was the MPHRP and the ISWAN program which was more focused on sort of a single point agenda. And it was a support system with the expertise of the initiatives of the unions, and hence it was more successful and became more accepted. And with the ebbing of the piracy related issues, the MPHRP got diversified under and merged under the activities of the ISWAN, which is an already established entity which went beyond piracy related issues and has a series of welfare related initiatives for the benefit, not just for the seafarers, but also their families. The ISWAN has always been supported by the ITF internationally and nationally by the stakeholders wherever it has its presence. And let me also record and appreciate that the ISWAN as an important organization promoting the welfare of seafarers, bringing shipping companies, the unions, the governments, and administration and their welfare providers to campaign for the recognize the serious issues, including psychological well-being of seafarers. I recollect saying, I was told it was an anonymous saying, but I'm sure Mr. Mike Pinto must have had said these words. Helping one person might not change the world. Helping one person might not change the world, but it could change the world of that person. So this is very important, and this is where the support system of the ISWAN comes in, helping that person. Okay, we are not here, we are in the idealistic situation to take care of all the ills of the society of the world, but that person, that one person will definitely realize and recognize and appreciate. For that person, it will make a world of difference. And the ISWAN, the activities of the ISWAN over the years have been, it is a recognized entity, which is also recognized by the ITF definitely, and as at the ILO and also at the IMO, as a source of valuable information on the current problems experienced by the seafarers due to the Seafarers Helpline, which is available 24/7 in multiple languages, providing advice and support for seafarers wherever they are in the world. It is proactive in promoting and developing resources for seafarers to improve their health and well-being, and enabling seafarers to build resilience in these challenging times, particularly during the COVID situation. It is active in lobbying through its regional directors, particularly on the matter of substandard crewing agents. As we have seen from the presentation by Mr. Chirag Bari, there are a perennial, consistent problem of unscrupulous crewing agents, and we have to deal with that. And the only way, the best way is creating a lot of awareness about this problem, this menace. And in the Indian context, Mr. Chirag Bari is synonymous with ISWAN. The ISWAN has been able to bring in the stakeholders along with the Maritime Administration, as I mentioned, in welfare-related issues to fight in the light of the requirement of the Maritime Labour Convention. The Port Welfare Committees are examples of these. And whatever Mr. Pinto touches, that turns to gold. And it is because the personalities like Mr. Pinto, Mr. Shetty, Dr. Idnani, and many others, and their dedication and commitment, that the activities of the ISWAN India chapter, which has supported not just the seafarers, but also their family members in the variety of situations, and particularly during this COVID pandemic. The very fact that the inputs of the ISWAN is solicited during interaction and policy making procedures even by the government of India and the Maritime Administration speaks about its prominence, credibility, and the acceptability of the ISWAN. And the role of the ISWAN, India and the Indian Maritime Unions have been, I would say, complementary to each other. What we are doing, in many ways, the ISWAN is also doing, going out and reaching out to the seafarers. And we see it as a complement. The more the merrier. It is all for the betterment and the benefit of the seafarers and their families in particular, and the shipping fraternity in general. So we don't see any, any issues there whenever the ISWAN is there. And I wish the ISWAN and the ISWAN India the very best in their endeavors. Their selfless services enhances the personal satisfaction of each and everybody connected with ISWAN. And talking about personal satisfaction, I again recollect a saying which again is anonymous, which was told to be anonymous, but I'm sure Mr. Hajra might have some inputs on that, that only those who have learned the power of sincere and selfless contribution experience life's deepest joys. That is the true fulfillment. I'll repeat, only those who have learned the power of sincere and selfless contribution experience life's deepest joys. And that is what ISWAN stands for. And we at NUSI can relish the sweet happiness about that true fulfillment. And because since this is the, I would like to, though it is just a felicitation of ISWAN and MUI, NUSI has also been involved in quite a bit of an activity. And our tagline is from womb to tomb. We are connected, we are there along with the seafarer. If the lands are locked, the skies are serene, quiet, and it is only the seas which are active, that they are active because of the passion and the dedication of all our seafarers, nationally and internationally. And we are very proud, we are very happy, we are very fortunate to represent the seafarer. Going beyond the scope of a normal trade union, usually when we talk about trade union, the first impression comes in majority of people's mind that the trade union is a trouble-making body. They are there to create trouble, agitation, and strike, and tore and gherao and all this. Yes, we don't deny that. Sometimes we relish it also. Let me be very honest and blunt. We relish it also at times, but as responsible trade unions, we have gone beyond the purview of a normal trade union activity, and NUSI has quite a bit of our activities which runs into medical, skill enhancement, education, loans, tree plantation, water conservation, and more importantly, as of now, it is a 24/7 helpline, which is NUSI Sahara. We tell the seafarers, if you are in any problem, just give a call. We are a call away. Tension mat lo, ek call karo. So that is NUSI Sahara. So all these things we have, people must have heard, and people usually heard about a corporate social responsibility, CSR. We talk about union social responsibility, USR. So that is what, as NUSI, we stand for, union social responsibility. And we know we are responsible union. At the same time, we don't want to lose sight of sometimes of our agitational approach also. And I said sometimes we relish it, but it is all for the betterment of the seafarers and their families whom we proudly represent in particular, and the shipping industry as such. I once again take this opportunity to wish ISWAN all the very best for its endeavors, and I'm sure it will continue with consistency as it has done in the past. Thank you and take care.
Thank you, Mr. Abdul Ghani, and thank you for all those good words that you spoke about ISWAN. And I was just watching Chirag's face. Chirag was just saying, if Abdul Ghani could speak like this every day, it would motivate me to do much more. Thank you so much, and as you said, we probably cannot change the world, but we can change the world of that one person. And let me tell you, you are that one person. As I mentioned, the voice of Seafarers. You are that one person itself. Because I've been every event that happens in India, Mr. Abdul Ghani has a voice and has a right voice. So that's been you all the while. Thank you so much for the support that you are doing for the Seafarers. Over to my next speaker, and I will do a little bit of hurry up because we also do have an event organized by CMMI today. I believe it's starting at 5 o'clock. So I will invite our next speaker. If Mr. Abdul Ghani, I've been hearing about him right from my sailing days, from all the crew that I've sailed with. If that is the case with Mr. Abdul Ghani, I was once on an incident on an event for the juniors who are yet to be officers, and I found the gentleman going around with this juniors, and then I inquired who this gentleman is. Then I came to know it is Mr. Amar Singh Taku, who is the General Secretary of the Maritime Union of India. He's our next speaker. He's one from one of the beautiful states of India, Himachal Pradesh. I would not take any much of time. I invite Mr. Amar Singh Thakur, General Secretary of MUI, to offer his felicitations. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Captain Vinod. Unlike MUI established in 1939 and representing officers of Merchant Navy. There are more than 40,000 officers member in MUI. So, let me first of all, I would like to thank you Nautical Institute for honoring MUI Bomber Wing and ISWAN and for running this wonderful event. I am honored to be here among you all. ISWAN has contributing towards seafarer welfare in various forms. It is strategically located in London. Its reach throughout Europe is well known. The team has done a commendable work over the years and during the crisis. Like Abdul Ghani said, CSR, and we do USR, Union Social Responsibility. What is our responsibility? To protect our seafarer, whatever situation he is there. During these hard work times, in the COVID-19, wherein everything has come to a halt, it was our brave seafarer who have kept the show running in this crisis situation. The seafarer had no other option except to extend their ongoing contract. They are no less than any corona warriors, and they are the key workers in the society. Not only the seafarer, but also their family members are affected. To provide insurance and safety and take care of the seafarer families, MEA Women Wing, led by Saleh Sheikh, has done a great job since the inception. The spouses of all the seafarers were in regular contact with the MEA Women Wing. MEA Women Wing has conducted various webinars to spread the awareness among the families, provided moral support and help in engagement. I would like to thank Saleha for her contribution toward the society. During this pandemic, a lot of seafarers, we were getting the mails for signing off, signing on. A lot of problems were going on. So during this pandemic, MUI and NUSI has played its part by coordinating with relevant authorities of India, including Ministry of Shipping, Director General of Shipping, and overseas entities. Even ship owners and managers like INSA, MASA, FOSMA have gone out of their way to ensure our crew changes, which was extremely very hard task. During this pandemic time, India was the only first country to start with new changes. With a crew change and assistance in sign-on in process across the Indian ports as well as in foreign ports. So chartered flights, till now, more than 60,000 Indian seafarers have signed on and signed off. Still, the ship owners and seafarers are facing problem for sign off and sign on in foreign ports. We were getting lot of complaints from the seafarer, from UK ports, from foreign other ports, and even the passport expired, visa expired. They were facing a lot of challenges. What MUI and NUSI and all stakeholders work with the DG Shipping and even ITF and all individual union, local union also worldwide. We are having on 640 union. They help each other. So we are also looking forward to opening foreign ports and are already in talk with the authority of the same. In an era where there is so much of uncertainty, we assure the seafarer and their family members that we stand together. We will continue to do our efforts and prove to be shining like in the world shipping. I can assure you, there was an incident happened in Mauritius. The oil spill.
Did we lose him? Mr. Amar Singh, can you hear us? I think he was facing a small issue with bandwidth. Just let me give about 30 seconds for him to come back. Yeah. So, can you hear us, Mr. Amar Singh? Captain Mishra, you can hear him?
No, I can't.
Okay, he's come back. I can see his video, but his audio is not.
Now you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. Please. Okay, I think there is an issue. I think we will connect back to Mr. Amar Singh once he's back. Let me just use this time to share my screen. Captain Mishra, just let me know once my screen is on. Can you see my screen, Captain Mishra?
Yes, I can see it. Yes.
Oh, okay, so let me just get on with our next item on the itinerary, which is awarding the certificate of appreciation to Mr. Andy Winbo and Team ISWAN. And I would request Captain John Lloyd to award the certificate of appreciation to Mr. Andy Winbo and also speak a few words of appreciation to him.
Well, thank you very much, Captain Vinod. Captain Andy, it's nice to see you again here today and to be able to present this certificate of appreciation to you almost in person. It really is just a token of our appreciation for the work that you and your teams have done right across the world, and we've been hearing some great stories about that today in some detail. And really, when we consider the magnitude of the problem that we're facing, it is just a gesture of support and a gesture of encouragement to continue that amazing work that you and your team are doing all around the world. So thank you very much indeed, Andy, to you and your team.
Hello.
Yeah, Mr. Amar Singh, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so I will just come back to you once we finish off with Mr. Andy Winbo. I'll come back with you for your concluding remarks.
Okay.
So I now invite Mr. Andy Winbo, who's been a former Assistant Secretary General as well as the Director of Maritime Safety Division at IMO, to talk us through the challenges that has been faced by ISWAN and the kind of actions that ISWAN had taken, especially over the last few months during the pandemic. And I think Mr. Andy would be happy to know that Captain Ashok Mahapatra has probably taken over from you, is also present with us on this event. So I invite Mr. Andy Winbo to take us through the challenges and action taken by ISWAN. Over to you, Mr. Andy.
Okay, well, first of all, of course, I should thank John and the Nautical Institute for this certificate of appreciation. I can't claim much in the way of praise myself, because, of course, all the work has been done by Roger and the regional team and the people on the helpline. So the award goes to them, and I thank them very much. I appreciate the Nautical Institute's certificate of appreciation, because appreciation is something we don't get all that often sometimes, so it's nice to be recognized. I also thank all the trustees of ISWAN that have joined this call today to support ISWAN, which they do, and support me as chair of the board. I'm conscious of the time, so I rather suspect people would thank me more for saying less rather than more. I would just make a couple of observations about the facilitation of crew change, which you asked me to talk about during the pandemic and the challenges faced. I think we've been the subject, or the shipping industry's been the subject of probably two perfect storms. One, of course, is the fact that we've got the disease in the first place, in floating around the world, flying around the world, or floating around the world, or traveling around the world, however it moves. We've got the issue of no airlines working. And of course, we've got the concerns that people don't want to get the disease passed on to them. So it's a bit of a perfect storm in that sense against crew change. Similarly, the international regulatory regime has lots of requirements in the MLC for seafarers to be repatriated, to be looked after, to have short specified lengths of contracts, etc. IMO has many requirements relating to hours of work and manning and safe management. And of course, the WHO, with its international health regulations, has requirements on countries to do all they can to prevent the spread of disease. That is also a little bit of a perfect storm, I suggest, because all those requirements are sometimes conflicting when it comes to a government trying to deal with the issue of seafarers on ships and getting them home. I very much noted your point, Captain Vinod, about raising seafarers' voices. Unfortunately, on this call, we're all seafarers or seafarer linked. We want to get to the rest of the world is, of course, to governments to try and do everything they can to assist us in breaking the logjam, to get seafarers on and off ships as soon as possible. There has been some good news, I believe. Some ports have taken it upon themselves to find ways to help the situation, and I think that's all good news. I think the situation is going in the right direction, but clearly not fast enough. So anything we can all do on this call to do what we can to persuade governments to help out and not to treat seafarers as some scourge, to treat them rather more as humans and having needs and meeting their own obligations. I think that would be great. So I just finish by saying thank you to the Nautical Institute. Thank you to my colleagues at ISWAN and on the board for all their support for ISWAN and its activities. Of course, a thank you to our funders, without whom, etc., we would do nothing. So thank you again, and I hand over very briefly, and I hope it was not too brief for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Andy Winbo. That was so nice of you to have come over and participate in this event. And it is, as I said, it's so heartening to know the efforts taken by ISWAN for seafarers across the globe. So we wish you all the very best for your future endeavors. And as you rightly mentioned, I hope more and more governments do support the cause of ISWAN. Thank you again. I do have a personal question to Mr. Andy. Are you a triathlete like Mr. Roger?
No, he's just a young fella.
I wonder, when I come to know how does he swim and cycle and jog, it's nice because I've been an athlete but not a triathlete, so I know how much it takes to do that. Thank you once again, Mr. Andy.
All I can compete with him on is a bicycle, but even I can't compete against him on that. So.
That's nice. Captain Ashok Mahapatra, would you like to exchange a hello to Mr. Andy? Okay.
Yeah. We did that on chat earlier on, so maybe you can move on. I don't know.
Okay, your mic is muted, Captain Ashok. Your mic is muted. Okay, I think there is a...
No, that's all right. Means I will not take up too much of time. Like Andy said, we've been on the chat and we are in touch. It's good to catch up with him. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. It was nice that we could connect both of you on this event. Captain Mishra, I'm just going to share my screen once again. Can you see my screen, Captain Mishra?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Okay. So this is our certificate of appreciation to Ms. Saleha Sheikh, who's the women's wing of MUI. Before I ask Jillian to hand over the certificate to Ms. Saleha, I would request Mr. Amar Singh to go ahead and give his concluding remarks. Mr. Amar Singh. Okay, I think, yes, your mic is muted, sir. Your mic is muted. Yes, sir. Yes. Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much, Nautical Institute, for giving certificate of appreciation to Ms. Saleha Sheikh of the MUI Women Wing for our hard work. So once again, I thanks to the Institute and congratulations to Saleha. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Jillian, if you could hand over the certificate to Ms. Saleha Sheikh and also a few words of appreciation from your side.
Thank you, and it's an honor to be able to do this. These certificates of appreciation are really for the work that is going on, and the fact is that you will be continuing to do so much more work. But I know that the work, especially for the women's wing and for the support for women seafarers as well, is very strong. I think one of my first contacts with Saleha was to do with an activity they were putting together, I believe was a cookbook or something. But I thought it was this wonderful opportunity, and I sort of was saying, how can we be involved? How can we participate? What is amazing, though, is that as a founding member and head coordinator for the Women's Wing, Miss Saleha has a career in fashion design, and I think that maybe that has the support and the organizational skill set to bring in here. And as a seafarer and a woman myself, when I was back on the ships, that would have been really, really lovely to know that there was an organization or something. There was some support for me as a female seafarer. And I'm really, really grateful to the work that has been happening. So this is in recognition for the hard work, the commitment, and the personal sacrifices that are being made to support seafarers during this difficult time. But I know that this work actually continues all the time. But we would like to specifically recognize the effort that's gone on during the time of the global pandemic. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jillian. We all know how tough it is for seafarers, especially when they leave their families or work on board the ship. But we should not forget the support that the wife of a seafarer or the families of the seafarer has been extending to seafarer. And that is the support. If we say that if if the family is happy, the seafarer is happy, and the seafarer is happy, the ship is happy. So
and I'm glad you said not just the wives, because it's the families of the seafarers.
Yes.
It is more important.
Yes. And we are fortunate that we have one such organization, the MUI's Women's Wing, which actually take care of the welfare of the families. And I'm sure, like the seafarer has issues, the families do have their issues, especially with somebody on board and trying to communicate with them. And that is where these kind of organization steps in and extends that support to the seafarers family. So we are fortunate, and I invite Ms. Saleha Sheikh to accept this certificate of appreciation on behalf of the MAI Women's Wing. And we would like you to speak us about the events that the Women's Wing of MAI has been doing for the seafarers families in particular. But I've also heard that the woman speaks less. So I believe she also has a short video to play to show the activities. Over to you, Ms. Saleha.
A very good afternoon to all the eminent dignitaries, shipping industry stakeholders, members, seafarers, and families present here today. At the outset, I want to thank the President of Nautical Institute, Ms. Jillian Carson Jackson, Captain John Lloyd, Captain Tom Joseph, Captain Vinod Naveen, and the entire team at Nautical Institute for this honor. It is indeed an honor to have one's work recognized. It only encourages us to work better in the future. And I'm extremely grateful to MUI General Secretary, Mr. Amar Singh Taku, for putting his trust in me, without which all our work would just not be possible. Also, I'm very grateful to my core team members for their relentless efforts and constant support towards our welfare work. The Women's Wing was initiated with a vision to create a community support system for seafarers and their families, because we believe that healthy and happy families make happy seafarers. Our mission was to provide quality social welfare services to members and their families to achieve our vision, and also to reach out to women from the seafaring community, especially our lady seafarers, to facilitate them to enhance their role in their own lives, families, and communities. We all agree that the seafarers are a strong and resilient breed, and the current COVID situation has proved this beyond measure. What we don't acknowledge is that the woman behind the seafarer is his backbone, and that if the family back home is in shambles, the seafarer can never give his 100%. As a seafarer's wife for 25 years now, I realized early on that we needed some kind of a support group, a platform where we could share and discuss our problems and be understood. And that need gave rise to the MUI Wing. Having said that, the Women's Wing not only looks into welfare of families, but also focuses on women seafarers. I would like to share a short video about the journey of MUI Women's Wing from its inception, after which I would like to share about our work done during the COVID lockdown. With the somber mood all around thanks to COVID, we have been taking extra effort to keep the positivity meter ticking. Our presentation might just give you a dose of that positivity. May I request Jillian to please play the presentation.
Oh.
Thank you for watching. As you have seen in the video, under our welfare scheme, we organize skill building workshops and educational seminars addressed by experts on various topics. Our other programs include the Voice of Women, a 24/7 emergency assistance helpline, where families of member seafarers can reach out for any assistance. Also, the Dignity at Sea program has a 24/7 helpline, where women seafarers can report any kind of harassment or discrimination they face on board from their fellow seafarers or the company. Counseling for depression, loneliness, etc., as well as confidential medical advice can be sought through our helpline. We are proud to share that we are the only organization in India that is of, for, and by seafaring officers' families. We have a pan-India presence with various WhatsApp groups covering all corners of the country. Our network is well established, and that helps us to solve problems at the root levels. Through the lockdown, the MUI Women's Wing has been actively involved in keeping the families together in a positive way. As you saw in the video presentation, we held a series of virtual meet and greet sessions through Zoom, which were interactive and served as support group discussions where members poured their heart out and discussed the problems they faced. We heard them out, updated them with the crew change situation, and steered these discussions towards positivity. These much required interactions helped to alleviate a lot of the anxiety and unfounded fears and brought in a sense of calm amongst the families. The one thing that brought comfort amidst all the COVID-related mayhem was food. The Food for Thought e-recipe book project tried to capture the creativity and innovation, and we anchored it all into a beautiful treasure trove of culinary secrets. Through the lockdown, our 24/7 helpline, which serves as a lighthouse, has been busier than ever before. Calls were related to family members being held up due to the sudden lockdown, to queries from families about the crew change, or members asking for assistance for problems they faced. A lot of calls were from members who were extremely anxious and uncertain about when their seafarer spouse will be back. There were some calls where spouses shared that their husband is extremely stressed out as he has been on board for more than a year, and that there were no definite signs of crew change. Some said their husbands were depressed or unable to sleep on board, and this was making the families totally helpless and stressed. These calls tested us as much as they tested them, and we coached the family members on how to relax their seafarer on board and calm the situation. There were various cases that came up during the sudden imposed lockdown. Due to the paucity of time, I will not go into details of the individual cases here. There were a large number of expectant mothers who were due to deliver during the lockdown months and had been waiting patiently for their seafarer to sign off and come home in time for their delivery. Due to the lockdown, sign-offs got delayed, and these young ladies were quite anxious and scared. Most of them were held up alone in their homes, some with their young children and families in other cities. We have been in constant touch with them, following up with their situation and progress. It has been a wonderful journey for us, personally bonding with them through these times. There were cases where family members required urgent medical assistance or surgery, and in the absence of their seafarer, they needed help. Wherever needed, our local chapter heads have reached out personally and offered help and support. And through our network, other ladies from the chapter have stood by the member and ensured that the problems were solved. The community support system has worked very well here. We had quite a number of women seafarers on board during the lockdown. We have been following up with them, checking on their well-being, and helping to solve any issues they have been facing. Just connecting with them helped them to have some heart-to-heart conversations, as many were feeling the stress of the pandemic and were unable to voice it out. A few of them were facing problems with their sign-off, so we helped to freeze out that problem by communicating with the respective companies. All in all, the COVID pandemic took us on an amazing journey and brought the entire seafaring fraternity to another level of bonding. A lot of lessons were learned, we scaled higher, learned new skills of survival, and gave the word resilience a whole new meaning. Having said the above, we at the MUI Women's Wing are extremely grateful to the organizers for giving us this opportunity to share about our work in detail. We thank all the participants for patiently hearing us out. Thank you, Nautical Institute, both the headquarters and the India Southwest branch. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Saleha. It was so nice to listen to all those work behind the scenes that you've been doing for the families of seafarers. We really appreciate the efforts that you've taken. I think through these events, more and more people would come to know about such activities, and which is much needed. And thank you once again for joining us from Istanbul, Turkey. And we hope you will be able to get back to Mumbai very soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before I hand over to the last word of thanks, a lot of them have been patiently hearing, and it would not be right for me to close down without hearing a few words from Sri Michael Pinto, sir. So over to you, sir. Just a few words. Unmute, sir. Please unmute, sir.
Thank you very much. It's an unexpected honor, and it's difficult to know what you mean by a few words. There are so many different interpretations of this. I think a lot has been said so far, and I don't really think there is much more that I can add to it. I would like to thank the Nautical Institute for honoring ISWAN. We feel in ISWAN, and I'm part of ISWAN as you have earlier pointed out as a trustee. In ISWAN, we feel that our aim is not only to render service to the seafarers, but also to make their cause a popular cause with others. And that is why, as somebody has said, that I really congratulate the persons who have worked on the field. You know, those of us who sit as trustees, well, we don't do terribly much. We have the opportunity to meet from time to time. We exchange views. We do this, we do that. But the people who really work are the people I think that you have honored today. Among them, Chirag Bari. Among them, the very bright person that we have in Nigeria, the wonderful person that we have in Manila. And it is these persons who really carry the burden with them. It's gone on for a long time, and I think it will continue to go on, because the thing that really puzzles many people I meet with in the other world, that is in the world that is not the shipping world, they say, why on earth do you have all these things specially for seafarers? You know, you don't have something for, let us say, automobile workers. So you don't have something for handloom weavers. You don't have any special pressure groups for them. Here, the ILO has a special session for seafarers. What's so special about them? And then I have to explain that, look, you and I who work in other professions, we go to the office, go at 9 o'clock. You may hate your boss. You may think the person who sits next to you is a terrible person. You may can't stand the person who works on the other table or the next room. But you know that in the evening at 6 o'clock, you can leave and go back home. And you don't have to see them again till the next morning at 9 o'clock. The seafarer doesn't have that. He may think his captain stinks. He may think his chief officer is a son of a bitch. He may think anything he likes. But the fact still remains that he has to spend 24 hours, he or she has to spend 24 hours in that closed environment with them. So that is a thing that requires a special consideration. And I think that is what we have tried to propagate, to practice. And I would like once more to thank Nautical Institute for what they have done. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would also like Dr. Deepak Shetty, sir, to have a few words. He's got his leg almost in the other event, which is starting at 5 o'clock. So just before we let him go, we will hear him in this event.
So thank you, Captain Vinod. At the outset, it's a privilege to be amidst all of you this evening. A very, very warm and hearty thanks to the Nautical Institute for this recognition and appreciation conferred on ISWAN. It's been a privilege to have been associated with the precursor of ISWAN, which was in the avatar or the incarnation of the MPHRP. I recall very vividly from around 2011 when I came in as Joint Director General of Shipping in the Government of India. And this was in the height or the apogee of piracy days for the next 4 years or so, and subsequently culminating in my tenure as Director General of Shipping. So post my superannuation, I've got drafted as a trustee of ISWAN, and so I've had the opportunity to continue to be associated in this extraordinary cause of servicing the larger welfare and more sustained welfare of seafarers across the globe. So I think it has spawned a great deal of opportunities to interact with a large number of stakeholders. But I think most of all, it's been an absolute honor to have been associated with the team at ISWAN across the various my colleagues, trustees, and more importantly, the executive director, the team at London, as also in India, and so too in Nigeria. Thank you once again, and I take this opportunity to convey my warmest wishes to all of you present here. And before I sign off, I must also compliment MUI and MS Saleha Sheikh in particular for also being conferred this honor of being appreciated in recognition of the extraordinary work she and the women's wing of MUI has done over this period of time. And I'm also thankful to both Mr. Amar Singh Taku as well as Mr. Abdul Ghani Sarang for the very gracious words that they've spoken about ISWAN and all that has been done. At the end of the day, I think all I would say is that this is a cause which all of us have espoused very passionately. And I think this is one platform which gets us all together very cohesively. I think that is the spirit which we need to continue with the momentum going forward, because I think this is an ongoing, it's a work in progress. And I think there can be just pauses or commas, but at the end of the day, there is no full stop to this. With this, I wish everyone around the very best. And I am profusely thankful to Nautical Institute for this opportunity conferred on me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Captain Basin is in a war of messages with me, the CMMI event that's coming up where you're also part of the event. So I will not take any more time. I will hand over to my counterpart with the India South Branch, Secretary of the India South Branch, Captain Misra, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Captain Vinod. It's been a great session, and I don't want to take any longer to deliver this, though this is a very important part of the event. It has been very interesting.